welcome back to Shemsuniverse. So today, guys, we're going to discuss the ninth house of astrology. So the ninth house has to do with mastery and just self-fulfillment when it comes to wisdom of our known world. So everybody interprets this in a different way depending on the zodiac sign in the ninth house and also what planets and conjunctions fall in line there. So today we're just going to talk specifically about the astrological signs and what they bring to the table when you have them in the ninth house. Always remember as well, guys, if you have a sun sign in the ninth house, it means a lot more because it's going to mean that your life goal is to achieve wisdom and achieve exploration of the world and how to interpret it. Okay, so always remember that wherever your sun sign gets placed, we're going to discuss this in another chapter anyways, but I just want to make it very clear from now. Wherever your sun sign is placed is going to have a really, really big deal on how your life is going to turn out and what your major focus, where your energies is really lying. So always just remember that and focus specifically on that house when I'm going through this chapter as well. Wherever that sun sign is, look at what zodiac sign representation you have there. It may not necessarily be your sun, and then analyze it even more, just because it could be a very pivotal moment for you in your life. I know it has been for mine. So let's get started. So there's 4 different elements in the zodiac, and I want to discuss that here a little bit more as well. So we have the fire signs. So when you have a fire sign, any of the fire signs in the ninth house, this is going to do with a lot of passion and initiation and getting things done. When you have an earth sign, it's going to be more about keeping conservative beliefs and staying grounded and sturdy. When you have an air sign, it's going to be a lot about communication and exploring and finding out new ways to get things. And then when you have a water sign, it's a bit cultish, but it's all about emotionalism and then figuring out how to bring the spiritual realm into the physical realm so everybody can interpret and understand it. All right, so I'm going to go through all of them now, but I just want you guys to understand the overlay of what happens when you have the 4 different elements in this house beforehand. So with the Aries sign, the Aries is all about the initiation. It's the cardinal fire force. So this brings forth a very, very sort of aggression when it comes to attaining worldly wisdom. These guys are fearless. It's the Aries ram. These people can have that maverick energy when it comes to just getting things done in a non-so-orthodox way. And it does prove very beneficial for them. It does get them ahead. But a lot of them will actually not even stick to any discipline when it comes to spirituality. They'll just keep trying new things throughout their life. So just watch out for just being a little bit nihilistic when it comes to spirituality or just not believing in it at all. Just make sure that you do have some sort of belief system, even if it's not within the spiritual beliefs, but you attain wisdom in your own way. That's the most important thing, is that you're interpreting and maturing as you get older, and that your mind is always not just staying stagnant or the same. You want to make sure that you're always progressing in life. That's my main advice for Aries in the ninth house. For Taurus, Taurus is kind of like the polar opposite of the Aries. It's a fixed earth sign. So it's all about being conservative, having a conservative approach to wisdom. They barely travel at all. This is actually mine in the ninth house, which is quite surprising, just due to the fact that I do believe in looking at other ideologies and studying different ways of looking at life. But it does mean that you are quite rigid, stubborn, and you don't really like to hear other people's opinion on things. You'll more so just listen to what your parents or grandparents had to say and try to keep in line with those customs and just keep everything copacetic and the same. And that's what makes your life a lot easier, is by staying steadfast and disciplined in that respect. The next one I want to go over is Gemini. Gemini is very, very different from both the 2 I just went over. It's a 3rd sign. It's an air sign, and what it does is it literally wants to explore all ideologies. It wants to know a bit about this, bit about that. So if it's in a highly religious family, learn about, if it's in a Christian family, it's going to learn about Muslim or Hinduism, all these other things, Buddhism, just because it wants to know about how those other ideologies, those believing factors work, and then make its proper sort of decision for itself. So whether you're a man or a woman with a Gemini in the ninth house, you're going to be somebody who wants to explore a lot. You'll probably be very likely to travel the world a lot in exploration for new ideas and ways of innovating, a new way of thinking, especially into your own mental fabric. This can obviously be done a lot by discussing things with other people. Your guys' communication skills is impeccable, so just always be on the lookout for new ideologies and new ways of viewing things, but don't be too, I'd say, superficial in the sense that you just go to each belief system when you see fit. Make sure that you actually do believe in something and that you can actually find grounding in something that you believe in. That's where you're going to attain real wisdom, not just by going from one thing to the next. The next one that I want to cover is going to be the Cancer sign. So Cancer is a lot about emotionalism. It's the water. So when we get the water sign here, what happens is Cancer is all about emotionality and learning kind of through our intuition, self-awareness. And what happens is, because an emotionalism takes such a strong precedent over Cancers, sometimes self-awareness isn't as competent or as vital as they seem. It's not actually a fact that they're not self-aware, it's that they're self-aware of just their emotional body, but not the logical body a lot of the times. So what happens here is you may end up developing some sort of cultish following where if you're a leader, people will follow your belief system, or you're going to follow somebody else's belief system that actually stirs your emotions up a lot. So be on the lookout for that. Make sure when you're attaining wisdom, it is from the right place, the right teachers. As students and as teachers, you guys are great. You guys can be very, very inspiring. It's highly likely that you guys will be able to reach other levels in the spiritual realm that a lot of people cannot. Water signs specifically have this gift, but you need to be very, very careful in the road in which that you take to get there. Just because a lot of people do make certain mistakes, and they find that their emotional body kind of took precedent over the real decision-making factor that should have been there in the first place. The next one that I want to cover is Leo. So Leo is a fire sign, of course. It's a fire sign in a fire house. These people are very demonstrative in attaining wisdom just through playfulness, humor, performing and experiencing life in a more positive, optimistic way. So Leos kind of attain their wisdom by being positive and then seeing the law of relativity, the law of karma, of always expecting something positive and then achieving something positive. Leos are very strong, very mentally strong. So they learn about mind over matter, and that usually becomes their wisdom. But there obviously is more spiritual paths that people can go on. But when it comes to spirituality for Leos, most of what I've noticed is very materialistic. The only thing I'd watch out for here is the narcissism in the ninth house, especially. If you guys do attain some sort of wisdom, just make sure that you're not gloating over it or just trying to teach people that don't want to be taught. Always just make sure that you do remain humble and use your gifts in the right way. For Virgo, the Virgo is all about, it's an earth sign. It's more so about the process of achieving spirituality. So they're more about the rituals, the process, following the rules, the kind of the human resources of the spiritual realm, if you will. I don't mean to make a joke out of it, but what I mean by that is they will follow the process so in-depthly that they forget that they're dealing with something that's infinite, something that's open. And they're trying to attain wisdom by just being the most organized, competent version of themselves. Now, this is great for the physical realm where you actually have to achieve tangible results, but when it comes to achieving some sort of spiritual understanding, whether it be through religion or devotion to whatever God that you may praise, even if that's within yourself, you need to be more open to the idea that different ideologies and belief systems will come to you in that journey. What happens with the Virgos is the same kind of with Taurus. Taurus will stay so grounded and so rigid that they won't actually accept any new belief system, even if it slaps them in the face. And that's kind of a false, just because you won't actually get the spiritual liberation that you're searching for, especially if you have Virgo in the ninth house, if you just stay rigid and stay on your processes. It's good to be disciplined no matter what religion or devotion or belief system that you have, but that discipline also needs to be accompanied by a balance of open-mindedness and understanding of other people and other belief systems that you can learn more and put it into your own. All right. So Libra now is the next one I want to go over. An air sign in a firehouse. Libra is interesting just because it's all about communication and dialogue between people. They want to have that great dialogue so that they can learn. So Libras mostly attain wisdom and stuff through relationships, for one. The relationship with their significant other is going to have a huge, profound effect on what their belief system is going to be, whether they're a man or a woman, and also just how they communicate with their friends and family. And when they travel, they're very, very susceptible to change. So really just be on the lookout for, like I said, with Geminis being superficial, not being so grounded when it comes to just being sturdy with a belief system. You just want to make sure that you are still looking in the right direction and you're still sticking with something for prolonged periods of time to see if they work or whether they don't work. To attain wisdom for you guys is obviously through communication and through great bonds and great relationships, but always be on the lookout for just being too susceptible to somebody that may have a stronger belief system than you and letting them overshadow what you've already believed in. All right. Scorpio is it's where we take another turn. It's like another whole other vibrational sector that we're getting to here now. So when we discuss Scorpio, they don't really care much for the spirituality portion of things. They do, but they care about the dark part of it. It's the eighth sign. It's the sign that really does care about money, power, prestige, status, wealth. And what happens here is Scorpio is all about using their spiritual beliefs if they do find ideology and not really teaching it. The other signs will teach and try to keep things conservative, like with Taurus, like with Virgo. With Aries, it was all about just doing, but teaching by doing. Scorpio is all about manipulating the system. They actually want to find the knowledge, accumulate the knowledge, internalize it, and then utilize it. They want to weaponize it. They're kind of doing what I'm trying to teach on Shemsuniverse. They'd watch my channel, use everything I'm teaching, and then just weaponize it the way I'm recommending to, but in a very, very brutal, savage sort of way. They're going to attack their reality with their belief system and more than likely succeed. That's why I always say Scorpios are kind of dark, but they're very, very successful. When they really have the power over like mysticism, taboos like sex, all of these things they have great control over. They're able to dominate in these realms because they're realms that people don't often want to discuss, and they're very open-minded towards it. They attack things like a fire sign, but they're open-minded like a water sign. They have the farthest planet from the sun, which is Pluto. They very, very are all about war and taking control, and they're very fearless in their pursuit, whether that be through spirituality or through materialism. So if they do attain a sort of spirituality, whether that be good or evil, whatever you want to call it, just be very careful, just because they will use it to annihilate whoever gets in their way for their purpose. The same goes if you do have the sign. Just make sure that you don't attain knowledge and manipulate it to the point where you accrue a karmic debt. Be very careful with the gifts that you do have, but you have extremely good potential to use spiritual knowledge in the ninth house to become rich. All right, so the Sagittarius is kind of like the polar opposite of that now. Sagittarius does learn things. They sometimes will change it. This is their house, of course. They'll change, they'll be very adventurous, they'll be very versatile, they'll want to learn new things and incorporate them. They're very positive like Leos as well when it comes to learning things and then teaching it. And they can be very, very passionate and devoted leaders. So very, very great place to have the ninth house, of course. It's very strong here if you have Sagittarius in the ninth. For Capricorn, Capricorn's very similar to Scorpio now. It's represented by Saturn. So what we have is the Capricorn will want to almost turn spirituality into a business. They can be so rigid and hard-minded that they just want to learn how spirituality works, learn how to commit to it in the proper sequence, and then figure out ways in which to attain their wisdom through getting money. They'll more so look at wisdom as suffering, accepting pain, and really achieving things by accepting more and more pain. So this is kind of like a dark energy as well, where the negativity of inversely accepting everything that happens in life brings them to the light of getting the things that they want, tangible things such as mansions, cars, fame, etc. And that's where they attain their wisdom from. There's nothing wrong with that. We all have our own different paths. Just make sure that your path to power doesn't corrupt you through greed and lust and different things as well. Same advice to kind of what I said with Scorpio. Do not accrue any karmic debts when you utilize your gifts. The next one I want to cover is Aquarius. Aquarius is it's very powerful when it comes to the ninth house. It is the same as the other air signs in the sense that it wants to communicate, it wants to understand things, it wants to elaborate on different facets of knowledge, and it wants to understand the way things work by the mechanics. It can dissect information very, very well. If you have it in the ninth house, Aquarius would really be about understanding what you're dealing with and getting the full details on it. This is a fixed air sign, so it's really fixed on the mental acumen, the focus, and the main wisdom you guys will learn will be like kind of like Leo's, like that mind over matter, except you guys can do it in a much more isolated, detached way, whereas Leo's will get passionate about it, you guys will just get colder and colder. So it's very good. You guys do learn about the law of detachment a lot, the laws of letting go, law of least effort, least resistance. These are the things that you guys are able to kind of come upon naturally just because of your icy nature in that house as is. All right, and the last one is Pisces. Pisces is like a life path 11. It's just really about bridging the spiritual world to the material world. You guys are able to understand mysticism or whatever religion you have, and then make sure you can bring it to our modern society, and then keep it very relevant here as well, but while being open-minded to other ideologies and other ways of doing things. So it's definitely a water sign. It adapts to new situations, the new times that we're in, and it incorporates those things and keeps the religion or belief system alive. So it's a very good one to have. With all water signs, I just always recommend do not be too malleable. Do not just mold into something else. Make sure you still have some sort of grounding, just like with air signs, and keep some sort of passion towards what you have. Always hold steadfast to a belief system that you've seen work and shown tangible results. All right, but that should be it for all of the zodiac signs within the ninth house. If you guys do have any questions whatsoever, just please let me know in the comments. Aside from that, guys, please like, subscribe, follow me. That's it for today, guys. Peace.